Golf is full of mathematics. There's a lot of setup work that we have to do in order to make a tournament work. So I'm going to demonstrate to you just exactly how we do a shotgun start here.
And here we go. All right, all right, all right. Gentlemen, start your engine!
Greetings and welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Shotgun Start. It is April 9th. Andy, how we doing?
Brendan, I'm doing fantastic. I gotta say, nothing beats a sunny day at Augusta National.
It made us work for it a little bit, right? We got a quick pop in the face on Monday, which is good. It reorients you. You need a little like builds character, right? And even the folks who were there they didn't hit their threshold where they get totally jammed and you get not refunded and not an option to buy Monday tickets for the subsequent year. They just came in below the threshold. So we built a little character on Monday, came back Tuesday with a glorious practice day at the Masters. We are so happy to be here.
I gotta say, I was morning. I was kind of like, all right, I gotta sleep in. Not bad. Like, I was pretty
Monday?
excited. Yeah, I was like happy. This is a selfish happiness. And then I realized, like, the only thing of consequence I did today was watch Xander Schauffele talk. And I was like, well, that kind of stinks. And then I was like, well, it's going to make me, I'm going to have to work extra hard tomorrow. It was a procrastinator's delight.
Then you had to double down Tuesday. Yeah, we're pumped to be here. Obviously, we're at the Draddy house. I guess it's gotten a little more professional around here. It's still a little bit of a hodgepodge group of characters, but we've got PJ here as a safety net.
PJ's trip got extended.
Maybe. I think so. Yeah, you're staying through the weekend. All right, good. PJ's got some notes from the ground. I ran into him. He was just a kid in a candy store, taking shit, happy as could be of 18th tee. And he started dishing notes. He's like, I saw this. You won't believe this. I said, save it for the live show. So I think you've really got an additive element coming with PJ.
I ran into a head pro of a very, very well-known club. Big time head pro job.
Yeah.
And the first thing he said to me, he goes, I saw PJ running around out there. And I go, oh, yeah? Did you say hi? He goes, I didn't want to get in his way. It looked like he was really hard at work. Didn't want to tell him, I appreciated his contributions to the pod.
It's everybody does. PJ's a star. We love having him here. So, yeah, we're ready to rock. We are at the Draddy house.
Came in the press center?
Yes,
He needed a ride home today.
They're swarming.
It was like when a big time player comes in there, the media's huddled around him. Tell
us a story, PJ. Tell us a story, Rory. Asking for quotes. Morikawa demanding I don't be a quote machine. Actually develop a relationship. They were just looking for quotes from PJ today. No, it was good.
Collin Morikawa just wants us to follow him around, ask him what's going on every day. That's what he wants.
I missed that. I don't think he wants that. I don't think he wants,
he doesn't.
Some of these, ink stained, chunky writers with mustard stains on their shirt coming into his house and asking him questions. I don't think he wants that. But great day at the Masters. One thing that even seeing PJ out there, I was reminded of the day, Monday, you had to work for it. Like the Masters, and I was walking in early, is you are going to see everyone literally is happy. That's very rare, especially in this current moment in the world, right? And no phone, like there's nothing on your phone that can stress you out, bother you, distract you. That's part of it, but also it's obviously the Masters, Augusta National to visit, whether it's your first or 100th time. I was like walking past, it was like, God, everyone's so happy. Everyone's like not carefree, but happy. And it's like, I'm going to go to Disney next week. That's not, the most magical, wonderful, whatever the slogan is. Like there's going to be stressed out dads. There's going to be long lines. The Masters, I think, might be like the last place on earth. And it's that no phone bubble is part of it. I was reminded of it so early. Like everyone is so happy, and you just don't have those environments really anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's the energy that permeates through onto the broadcast. Like when you hear the roars, it creates this excitement and just overall atmosphere to the event, that everybody is having such a great time. Everybody's with people that they care about, and everybody's actively engaged in what's happening in the golf tournament. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And, I think like I have neighbors that don't really watch golf, and they always ask me about the Masters, and I always say it's like the Kentucky Derby of golf. But I think like if you explain to non-golf, fans about the no cell phone thing, I think it would, like, if that was even more out front, people would be like, that's even cooler. Like it adds like the way you feel when you're just walking. Like, I think it's so interesting as someone who, is out there by themselves, how you feel when you don't have your phone for like 6 hours at a time.
Yeah.
And like, there's a switch of like where you're thinking about all the things that then you become like ingrained in the moment, which is such a beautiful place to be. And that's, I think, one of the many things that makes this tournament so special.
Yeah, it was just, I was reminded of it. This is not to say that the club's not without its faults, or the tournament might not have a hiccup here or there. We heard about a biohazard story earlier that we'll share a little later. Not going to lead our first preview show with that. We won't get into that one, but it just was a reminder. Like, I saw people I knew like had like done everything in golf, quite frankly, been elite players and amateurs and been and it was like the first time they'd been there. They were so happy. It was a good reorienting after Monday's rain. So should we get to the big stories, the top stories?
Do you want me to lead off with my biggest story?
What's that?
I found out, was doing a lot of digging. I've been, talking to a lot of people, wanting to get to the bottom of it. We of course covered that Wilson no longer uses the F-150. They upgraded to a big tour truck for the equipment van. They no longer are pulling
pulling the trailer.
They got the semi truck.
Yeah.
Found out today that it's not a brand new one. They purchased it from another OEM.
Getting to the bottom of the big stories here at the
big
start
story.
of the Masters.
No, that's just a little misdirection.
Okay.
Let's talk about the big stories.
All right. No, whatever you
It's a
want.
refurb.
What happened?
It's
a
a refurb. Yeah.
They just put a new sticker
They
on the
wrapped
outside.
it. Yeah, put the wrapping on, and the other OEM got a new truck.
So they got a bigger one, but maybe a worse or older or more substandard option. I love that. Lil Wilson truck reporting, big one.
Well,
Any other quick scuttlebutt from the ground we want to throw out there before talking? The Eisenhower cabin, that was a good one we heard this morning.
Let's
can
get
all
to
this
those stories.
stuff.
We'll
All
empty
right.
out. We'll
All
empty
right,
out
we'll
the
empty
notebook.
out the notebook.
Later,
I've got about a shank. I have a working theory about the skip it tradition. I think
this hat's got to go.
Oh, the hat's got to go. I think skip it in general's got to go. It's just
Did
hazardous.
you see the turtle? Rory almost killed the turtle
No,
today.
that's the least. I mean, there's PETA issues. There's human. Like, I saw a Thirsty boy. Thirsty seemed to be out there solo, struggling. Just missed the water. Rocket right into the crowd behind. And then another caddy was like duck hook pull. It is a liability issue, in my opinion. We got to outlaw skip it. Everybody's happy, but
well, the hats, just for the hats alone, the hats have, you won me over just so I don't have to see another skip it hat.
I'm kind of surprised, and I haven't gone into Merch Center. PJ did. That we haven't, would the upside down letters ever make their way into Augusta and upside down Masters? Are we getting that hipster doofusy around here? It doesn't seem like it. I think that's a bridge too far, but I was wondering about that.
The local coffee shops all in on that, on the upside down.
Cool.
I like that coffee shop.
What if we just flip the letters upside down? That'd be edgy as hell.
I
right.
got to say, Thirsty Boy's in the running for our later segment, Worst Tea Time.
All right. That's an annual, a quarterly tradition.
When
we got
do we do Good Guy Jerry Award?
Oh, I saw an option today.
I think
Good
we
Guy
do it
Jerry Award
Friday.
is a daily. That's a daily, like, shot of the day.
Okay.
Round of the day, worst round of the day, Good Guy Jerry Award. I think we could do that during tournament play. I did see a nominee today, though.
All right. I wasn't thinking about it. I got to have my head on the swivel. This is why you need the Monday warm-up day.
Yes.
I was just trying to
keeping an eye out.
Fire hydrant content in here.
Yep. So speaking of Jerry's boy, Rory McIlroy. Is he the top storyline coming into this Masters tournament?
He put aside elbow gate. He said the elbow's fine, so
Got
we don't
some
have to worry
treatment,
about
the
that.
elbow gate. Did it
Contrary-
reach gate status? You got the
Contrary to
gate?
some people's belief, it wasn't a made-up story to ease pressure. It was just simply a little flare-up.
You think he was trying to move the lines there, just so the pressure of being one of the favorites with Scotty, just say is an elbow issue?
Being a gambling pod, I thought one of the interesting gambling stories this week was that there's so much Scotty and Rory energy that it's just thrown the values all out of whack, and that Morikawa and Xander are just like, it's like
What's
they're
up?
sitting there at like they shouldn't be where they are.
Yeah,
Well-
I mean, Ludwig, JT. There's just sort of this Rom. I listened to Rom for a while today. He's like, it's hard to know nowadays where you stand, right? And it was more of a joke about the OWGR. He was asked, like, what are you? He's like, I don't even know. But, like, these guys went and imploded the world, right? Like, you could know where you stand.
Yeah, you could.
And he's like, he said I was unfairly judged last year about my play in the majors. Like, I wasn't good, but that was sort of a writ large judgment on my entire season. I was like, yeah, man, because we kind of don't know the 54 hole Region 13.
And
Yes,
he wasn't that
admitted
good in the majors.
He admitted that. He's like, that was an unfair judgment of my entire year. I was top 10 and this, that, or the other. So it is like the odds board gets a little, I think that's a massive story. I don't think it's number one is like the LIV guys coming in. And we've done this for 3 years now, but we'll get to it.
Is it 3 or 4? Feels like 4.
It was June 2022, I believe. I think like
this
Country
is-
Club was like the first major where it was like really popping off. Phil had already gone and played London, that kind of thing.
Yeah, Brooks hadn't gone.
No,
yet.
but he
left
did
right
Travelers.
after.
He did not show up. So yeah, we're coming into now 23, 24, the third Masters. We've done
Going
it.
to the Travelers dinner after this.
We might. You might get under the umbrella there. So yeah, there's all sorts of. I think Rory's one. I think he's the top story. If we want to really go into
You go Rory or Scotty?
Rory.
Rory. All right.
I think there's too much. He's been playing probably the best golf in the world this season, this year, however you want to cut it off. He's won twice. The statistics bear that out. The change in, I don't know, I guess the breadth of his game, right? The depth of his game, in relying so much less on strokes gained off the tee, strategy, patience, he is playing his very best golf. The physical kind of has aligned with some of that mental, the strategy and all of that. Bacon, how well he's playing, that he's probably the best talent of his little micro generation or his generation in here. And the fact that he hasn't won the Masters. And it's a career slam. And no one's ever completed the career slam here, I believe, besides Gene Sarazen, which, was that even the slam then? Did we know what the Masters would be? So I think all that coming together, right? And the fact that it's the Masters and the fact that maybe the most prominent player of this generation playing well and, the sort of the narrative around him at this place, I think he's the top story coming into it.
I would say Scotty and him are 1A, 1B.
Sure. I
Whatever
wouldn't
order
disagree
you
with
want to slice and dice it. You know, if you want to talk about Scotty going for his third Masters in 4 years, that's a pretty compelling storyline too. I think I think Rory comes in here. This is the best he's come in here. If you think about last year, he came in with the little hitch in his swing where he was doing the pre-shot, where he was taking it halfway back.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any concerns. I think what was interesting about this year was how he really devoted that work to the swing in the winter, and that really seems to have set him up this year for great success. We've seen, this is the best start that he, as everybody's referencing, the best start that he's had a year. He's leading the tour in strokes gained total, so he's been statistically the best player. And I think if you look at his mindset and the way he's attacking golf courses this year, he's got a better strategy, but overall he's just such a better player. And I think it something that's kind of resonated with me this week when I watched Xander Schauffele, also with kind of what I've seen from JT in recent months and in the last couple of years is it used to be normal, and I wonder if we will get to this period where golf goes back to the great players are 32, 33 because of some of the complexities of the game, some of the mindset things, some of the just, challenges of being a professional athlete. If we'll get back to that, like 30s being the golden years, because everybody's been so obsessed with like the youth wave, but Rory's such a great example of someone continuing to get better, becoming a better player. And I think like the thing about Rory is I think he understands, like, I think there were moments like you could see how like earlier in his career, it was like people were like, go bully a golf course, and he would do that, or play more aggressively. Like Rory needs to play more aggressively, and he would play more aggressively. And I think he's starting to settle in with like he really understands how he should play a golf course, and he understands that no matter what, I'm going to overpower the golf course. I don't have to try to do that. I am going to make a bunch of birdies whether or not I try to make birdies, and he is allowing the golf course and golf to come to him a lot more. And I think that's the way that the people play the best golf, is when they let golf come to them. And there's like Xander Schauffele talked about it, when in his press conference about like the calmness when you're in competition. If you can get into the heat, there becomes this calmness. But if you think about golf overall, like playing with that calmness of understanding that like, hey, if I make 3 bogeys in the first 6 holes, that's okay. It's a long time. I'm going to make birdies. Like, that's a hard place to get to for anybody. And when you're there, and it seems like Rory's really gotten there with these bigger events where like he understands like the give and take. He talked about it 2 years ago about how he saw Scotty way out ahead, or was it Rahm and Koepka? That was the year Rahm and Koepka. They were way out ahead, and he played too aggressively, and he regretted it, right? And he's like, I come back from 10 shots down early in a tournament all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing where he plays with this, this confident patience. Like, it's a confident patience, right? Where he knows he's not out of reach early in a tournament, and like lets the golf course come to him.
We've seen that work to great success at some of the Opens. I'm not sure we've seen it fully in flight yet at the Masters. And I understand, like, I've kind of been, I quite frankly find like the Rory Masters, appraisal or narrative or examinations, whatever the media stuff, like tedious. Like I start laughing when like the next, like whoever it is on Golf Channel or the CBS, like starts to go, you know what? Like I'm thinking it's a Rory year. I like it. It's like, yeah, like no shit. Like we've said that in 17 and 18 and 19 and 20. Like, yeah, like I start giggling, but also like rolling my eyes at the same time. I get it.
I was in Atlanta for a little while before I got here, and I talked golf with a handful of people, and every person I talked to was like, not a lot of people are talking about. I kind of like Rory. I'm like, what?
No, maybe I've done it for too long, or I've been in the game, this media game too long. I don't know, but it's like, and yet here we are talking about him because it's a different. The approach you just talked about, it has worked to great success, and he's a much better player. He seems mentally a better player. Talked about, I don't want to get like letting yourself get hurt, right? Whereas like for a 5-year stretch, I probably finished 25th, and because at a PGA, because I was worried about getting hurt, right? And now you see his majors approach, whether it's a second, and it is a lot of heartbreak. Second's still higher than 25th, right? But the pain may be stronger, and so like he has changed a little bit of his mental approach. He said at the end of 19, I think is what he said, and. So there's that mental approach, and there's a physical approach of what you've talked about, right? Whether it's flighting the ball differently, right? Not overpowering the ball. And yet we get to the Masters, and it is, I think why we like it is it's like the ultimate balance of this sort of a very physical thing you have to do, right? Pinpoint approach shots. You have to hit the ball probably pretty far. It's an advantage, but you have to hit great approach shots to very smaller targets with crazy sloped greens, uneven lies, right? Firm conditions, and a lot, and not so much lately, but apparently this week. And so like there's this physical test, and the par fours are harder than any on the tour, and in the stroke, like there's less reliance on putting, right? You're not going to putt your way to a win. You have to hit shots. So there's this physical test, and then you put on the Masters, the fact that it's the Masters on top of it, right? And you talk about these guys being anxious and nervous and not knowing, like, can't feel their hands. I mean, Pat Reed talking about that with Lamagna on our interview, like he was like so on the fritz on Sunday on the first tee.
Our collaborator Pat Reed,
Patrick Reed. So that was a great interview. A lot of the one meme.
Go check it out.
There was a good meme tweeted about that. Yeah, so it was good. He made a lot of good points in that. So layer on the like this is the perfect blend. A real actual like golf test of your physical skills, right? Your ability to hit shots with the mental like pressure cooker of the Masters. And then add on top of it the Rory situation of, right, like everybody telling him this is tournament suited for you, or this is a course suited for you. It being the fourth to complete the slam. Like that's a lot. It's a freaking heavy thing, no matter how more mature you are and your game is more well-rounded and all that. And that's what makes him, I think, story 1A. And I think there's sort of not a hoping, but like a fantasizing about, like, you put all together, like the stats, the narrative, like it all says he should win or do well. And then it's like develops into this fantasizing of what could be, like, even if it's not quite the level of Tiger winning in 19 or something, but it's just, it's an interesting combination.
I think the thing. So you talked a little bit about, like, it hasn't happened. Like, we've seen him play well at the U.S. Open. It hasn't happened here.
Right.
One of the aspects of that is that the patient, confident approach works really well when you're playing really well. Right.
Right.
Like, if you're not hitting the shots, you're not hitting the shots. It's not going to work out. I think the other thing about Augusta National, about that U.S. Open, it works so well. Because, like, you just kind of par. At Augusta, one of the great aspects and why the course is such a tremendous tournament course is that it constantly tantalizes the tour pros to just try and nudge those targets a little bit closer, because they know, like, oh, if I miss that slope, it's going to roll down here, and that's going to be a really hard two-putt. And I think that's, like, the beauty of Augusta is that it just, like, it plays on these guys' egos for 18 holes. That ability to have a game plan, stick with it, understand when you're in the position, that you're able to shift those targets a little bit over because you have maybe some helping contours or not that bad of a miss in one spot, versus the dance of, I'm in the fairway, I'm in a perfect lie, I could shade this over, but, like, knowing, like, this isn't the spot to get to the aggressive point. Yep. So I think that's, like, the beauty of this golf course, this tournament, and probably one of the reasons, like, he wasn't playing well last year, and then and it's hard to stay patient on this golf course because guys get hot and go on runs.
You can shoot 65 here on the right day. You could shoot 68. There are some days that those other majors you talk about were like, all right, 70. I'm just trying to shoot 70.
The Matt Jordan approach.
Right.
Perfect.
Right,
Perfect.
right,
We're 69 to 72.
Right.
We're just lock it in here.
It's able to, while being this incredible, like, physical test, whether it's the lies or the greens or the targets or the advantages. Like, it's an incredible physical test that can be, like, conquered on a certain day.
I think I remember distinctly from a couple years ago when I played, like, it's a golf course that, like, throws all these little things at you that could cause slight discomforts. But the key to playing great here is swinging with the most freedom you can swing with. It is picking a target and swinging with freedom. But it's probably the hardest course to feel free at, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's really the song and dance. It's interesting. Scotty talked about Rory in his press conference because it was a great question. I don't know who asked it. I was just reading the transcript, but it was like, Rory talked about taking some of your, course management and strategy standpoint. Is there anything you look at for his? Of course, he goes, oh, Oh, he's trying to 350 down the middle.
Yeah.
But then he talked about how free Rory can play at times. And I think that's like, that's the thing is having the game plan and then that freedom. And it's interesting that Scotty, because I think like Scotty feels like he plays pretty free, you know. And for him to say that's the thing that he looks at Rory for, it's just it's a fascinating aspect of that. That question was a really good question.
Yeah, I thought, Rory talked about how he works with, or somebody asked him about working with Bob Roteller, as he's known by some accents. Bob Roteller, he chase a feeling, right? It's like, maybe I'm not chasing a score or chasing a certain swing. It's like chase just the feeling. I thought that was like an interesting framing. That's probably why Roteller is who he is. But I thought that was an interesting framing. I don't know. He and Scotty, that's fine. Rory's like whatever he is, 7-1 or something. The odds headed up. He's plus 625. Scotty's plus 475, and those are the two guys. And then after that, it's Morikawa and Rahm are 14-1. So there's sort of like a middle after those top two.
Yeah. Well, he's got the Bridgerton on tap.
Well, I mean, this is my whole point about the narrative of like
Bridgerton, and he's got his John Grisham novel.
Who else in the field? Do we know what they're watching? Do we know what they're reading? Do we ask these questions? Do we throw Abe Lincoln quotes at them that they used as their marching credo 4 years ago? Like, this is the Rory appraisal we do every year at Augusta. What are you reading? That's a novel. What do you Bridgerton? Like, do we know what Scotty and Rahm and all these, like, sometimes maybe by chance, by like accident, but this is like, I don't know. I'm not saying we overdo it. It's a big story, but this is what the stakes are, or how we feel about the whole Rory at Augusta, especially when he comes in playing well like he is this year. Did you take anything else away from his meeting with the press? Anything? He talked about how he loved this course. I don't know. I think that's sometimes been in question. Like, does he actually love the course? Maybe he doesn't love the place. At certain years, Ernie has certainly. I think he says in the post-mortem, I wouldn't expect a player in the prime and the heat of their career to say, I hate this place, it sucks, it gives me the heebie-jeebies or whatever, as Ernie did.
That's because so they gave him the false invite, the fake out. They faked him out.
But yeah, I thought it was I don't know. It's Rory's ready to go. I followed him a bit with Noah Kent by chance. I ended up with them out there.
I gotta throw a flag down on Noah Kent.
Oh God. What do you got?
Goes to the University of Florida
for a year. He's been there for like three months. He's not.
Didn't stay up and watch the end of the game.
He had to play with Rory. I guess they didn't go out till late.
Also, I think the other thing I gleaned from the Noah Kent quotes, these kids they're putting themselves at risk staying in the crow's nest.
What? He
woke up with a bad neck and he said he didn't fit in the bed.
That's a tough one. A lot of these AMs are like tall drinks of water.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not lamprecht size, but a lot of them are like 6'4".
And they're all staying there one night and then they leave. They go back to their beds.
Start off the week with a nice little crick in your neck.
I mean, they're updating everything. Let's update the crow's nest. Let's get a good normal sized bed in there.
I mean, normal size might not be long enough for these guys. If you're 6'4" and there's a footboard. The problem is when you have the footboard, right? I mean, that's what I think they have. These little
He had to go to the physio because his neck.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. He said his neck. He's like, I played 4 holes. I went to the physio. And then a question came later. Why'd you go to the physio? He said, I slept on my neck wrong. I don't fit in the bed, said the crow's nest.
That's a clear instance of, did you get jammed or did you jam yourself? I got to go with the latter. He jammed himself. Literally jammed himself, and he jammed himself.
I think it's a little bit of flag on both sides.
Okay. All right.
Offsetting penalties.
All right. Anything further on Scotty you'd like to discuss? His story 1A, 1B with Rory. It's very, very, very hard.
I'm using real quick while we're on Noah Kent. I'm using thing from the ground. His stepfather is Dana Fry, golf architect.
Yes.
Who's pairing up with Champs Tour broadcaster Azinger, Paul Azinger, Zinger to build a course. Little scuttlebutt heard just because Noah Noah hits it like really far, like 350, like murders the ball. Because Noah's stepson, that course might end up being like 9,000 yards.
Well, Noah can hit it here, right?
Noah can carry this. I got to move that tee back further.
I'd love to design a course with Zinger. See what I heard he has some thoughts maybe on the bunkers, and all that. It'd be good. Good stuff. Anything else on Scotty as 1A, 1B? It's very hard to win 3 and 4 years. It's very nobody ever wins it back to back. It's very rare. Faldo and Nicholas and Tiger. It's just, and yet he's on this sort of 3 or 4 year run where it's, to be clear, Rory and Scotty should be one of your picks if you have them, but obviously not at whatever they are, 6-1. I know we're a gambling pod. That doesn't seem
you gotta ask PJ
sensible.
to come in here.
Sure.
I'm not really sure.
Sure.
We are sharps in our own.
We
right.
are sharps in our own. Right.
But
yeah,
we might have to call PJ in for more gambling advice later on this podcast. I think with Scotty, it's just, we haven't seen him. I think it's he won so much last year, and now he hasn't won coming in here. That's the real question. Can he get it done here? The 2 years that he won here, he was going bananas into it. He was just winning.
Yep.
And I think that's just,
we haven't seen that yet this year.
He's
been good.
He's
fine.
He's been good. Yeah, he had they had that strokes gain stat that's floating around about gaining 18 shots and whatever number of, and he's done that. That's a threshold you want to clear. And I think for whatever reason that the everything hasn't fallen together this year, and the putter can be problematic, but again, this place really appeals to him. I was reading the quotes that from his press conference, and I think we settled on why the golf course, he loves this golf course so much, is because, and why he didn't play well at Pinehurst number 2, and seemingly has not played well at links courses. So he talked about the idea of, if I miss here and I'm a little off, I'm in a good spot. And this is, I think, a very common belief with tournament golfers, how how penalties should be handed out. So if I still have a shot at the green. I still, if I'm just barely off, I'm okay. But if I get a little off, I have a couple trees to navigate. And if I get further offline here, I have a lot of trees to navigate. And he talks about that type of thing. And if you think about the way Scotty's game is based, I think I don't think people describe him as this, but he is the premier control player. I think if you were going to compare golfers to quarterbacks, you've got Rory is the extraordinary arm talent, the physical specimen, right? Scotty Scheffler is all about ball placement, right?
Drew Brees.
Yeah, anticipation, ball placement, he puts it on the money, and it's just he doesn't have the strongest arm, doesn't have the greatest arm talent. But with Scotty, you just think about it, he hits so few shots where he gets into a place that he is in a really bad spot in Augusta National, because he hits so few shots really far offline. You think about worst shots you've seen Scotty Scheffler hit, it's mostly around the green or putts. You rarely see him hit a driver that's 30 yards right. So I think that's one of the things with Scotty, and you in the quote, he just talked about how much he likes that. He thinks that's how a tournament golf course, and that's powerful. You think about there are these horses for courses, and half of the thing about horses for courses is just I go here and I like the golf course, and I feel at home. I like this golf course is the way a golf course should be, and I think he's just so comfortable here.
And we've seen that now for almost 40, 50 years at this place. There is a very predictive history, right? Whether you can, based on what you've done, whether it's, a Nick Faldo or Bubba Watson or Tiger Phil, they're good players in a lot of places. Bubba, never gelled really with any other majors. But yes, and now Scotty is kind of that, this course, I don't want to say you can pick the winner based. You had to have played well here before. Usually, Fuzzy's our lone rookie winner. Essentially, you had to have built up a record. You have to be playing well coming into it. There's no fluky stuff that happens here. and part of that's a small field, right? But a lot of it's like the examination. It's just not fluky. You have to be playing well currently. You have to have played well in the big events. You have to have some sort of majors like bona fides, whether it's a top 5 or in recent years. Like you have to play well and have played well recently and played well at the top critical moments. And a lot of times, if you've played well at this particular place, that matters, right? Whether it's twice or and for Scotty, he's kind of got it dialed in.
I don't know if you saw Bennett scripted.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Who else is scripted?
Who?
We are.
We are scripted. A lot of hubbub, hullabaloo. We have a script. It's a bit, I think, maybe.
It is a bit.
All right. We're not. If you've listened to this podcast
so many
for any
people
amount
asked
of
me
time,
about the scripting today.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's very tongue-in-cheek. They're like, oh, yeah, that's what I thought. I wasn't sure, though.
I mean, if you listen to this podcast for any amount of time, I would hope that we wouldn't think we're like it's a bit. It's a joke. Although Malbon is quaking in their boots, as people were commenting.
They are. Did you see Victor Hovland's sweatshirt today?
Yeah, I did. I did see that. It's not going to be as nice as your Andy hoodie. You're scripting an Andy hoodie. You got a Meyer hoodie. You got no.
People are asking if the Meyer ice wasn't in the scripting. Tuesday wasn't a scripted day. I had to get my cashmere out today.
It was like 44, 45 degrees starting out.
Perfect
It was like
in the
55.
morning.
It was glorious, great day there. I rolled in with the Andy hoodie. You were doing a giveaway for an Andy hoodie. It's named after you, I believe. If you can believe it or not, we were there in the office as they were kind of sketching it out, and you made a comment about how you liked it, and then it became the Andy hoodie. It's a hot seller. We're giving that away. If you go to we have the URL in the show notes on YouTube and Apple and Spotify, wherever you get two Andy hoodies, or no,
We're giving
two
away
polos.
two.
One Andy hoodie and 2 cool polos and an everyday vest that you can wear every day. Give it away. I don't know what the value is. It's significant, in the hundreds of dollars. If you enter the link is a mouthful. It's bdraddy.com. But the link is available in the show
and
notes.
post tariffs.
Show notes.
It will be free. There will be no tariff.
It's all free. It's a big giveaway. And if you don't win the giveaway, you can get 30% off if you use the code SGS30. Look, Draddy guys have been our guys from day one. We did podcasts with them at the Masters before this SGS was even a thing. Fried Egg was in its nascent days. They've been great friends of the program and a huge part of getting us to the Masters in so many years. And obviously, we love their stuff. A lot of interest out there on the ground today about Draddy.
Yeah.
A lot of interest from players, patrons, just friends of the program out there. Draddy's hot right now. Don't let him get hot.
What scripting item are you most looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to the shacket.
People are worried about your oatmeal shacket.
I'm not worried. I think they're intrigued. I think there's it's an oatmeal shacket that I've been scripted to wear with shorts. So that part is where I might have a quibble or two. And I generally look like an idiot anyways, but I think a shacket with shorts, I might really be pushing the limits, right? The limits of human potential, as Bryson might call it, but or at least Brendan potential.
It's the Bradshaw.
Yeah, the Bradshaw.
I was wearing my Bradshaw last night.
Okay.
Got a lot of comments last night.
You did?
People were like, "I love
no
that."
BS. They were all there. These were unsolicited comments in the house, in the Draddy house, about that your Bradshaw jacket. So go to bdraddy.com, SGS30. Look. They've supported us and gotten us to so many places. Great stuff. Support them with that code at bdraddy.com. All right, we've hit Scotty and Rory.
Other bit of housekeeping. I see in the live chat here.
Yeah.
Somebody demands a PJ scripting. I think we're working on that.
We are. Yes.
Yeah.
Are we? He said yes. It's coming. I don't know about for this week. Are we? Maybe this week?
No, this week. I think we're working on it.
All right, we're working on it, I guess. We're working on it.
Well, working on it means that it could happen or it could
Can we
happen.
get that in Mets colors? Fast track to PJ for this week. All right, should we go to the course? What other stories? You want to keep going on players?
I wanted to talk about... You could pick one of the two you want to talk about. Do you want to talk about the guy that you're supposed to follow around and ask questions of all the time?
He's 14 to 1.
Or the guy that won the last major that nobody's talking about. 2 of the 3 last majors.
Let's go to Xander. Xander Schauffele. Is that who you're referring to? 1, 2. I'll tell you what. One cool moment I saw today was Xander Guy has won 2 of the last 3 majors. He's like arguably the second best player in the world, or second best player in the world the last 12 months. He's walking off 18, and his wife was there. And, like, he's going through the tunnel, and, like, he sees, they shout and he sees her. She stops. He recognizes, oh, all right, it's my wife. He comes back to her. Like, you know, she's with some friends, gives her a hug and all that. And then, like, she requests a picture. And they pose. They, like, it's like the morass, like the mass of people, right, between the putting green and 1 tee and 18 and 9. It's just, like a lot of people. And, like, the guy is, like, the most prominent figure in golf at the moment. And he just stops, and his wife wants a picture, and he wants it there in the middle of, like, the craziness. Like, let's get a picture. It's the Masters. And it's like, it's kind of unique. He's on his way to the clubhouse. He is, you know, they don't have ropes in that area. It's just people. It's like, we're going to take a picture and pose as if they were, like, patrons or something. It's like, that's pretty cool, because given where he is in the prominent golf world right now, his wife wanted a picture. They took a picture. That speaks to the Masters.
I gotta say, I've been pretty critical of Xander.
Yeah.
And his personality. I thought
House cat, dial tone. What other words?
I think he's grown on me. The last few months, he's been, I feel like, really coming out of his shell. And I wrote about this in the newsletter a little bit, but, like, God, his press conference was so good on Monday. Like, he had some real substantive stuff. He talked about, like, contending and like the moments he let go of the rope, and you know, he just went into the.
That was cool.
Yeah, he went into such good depth, and like was like, you know, really like let us in on where, you know, how he felt in moments. And but then he also mixed it with some just like incredible humor. There were just, I like loved some of the moments. You know, Doug Ferguson.
He was taking a run at him.
Oh,
he's popping him.
Fergie asked him something about like what gets you out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, what gets you out of bed to be great, I think, was like the framing of the question. He goes, well, today, Doug, what got me out of bed was driving down Magnolia Lane to talk to you. And then somebody else was asking what he did when he was injured. And he was like, you know, did you watch TV? Did you read books? Did you knit? And he goes, definitely knitting. You know, like, he was really funny. I just think, like, one of the things that it kind of hammered home for me is, like, everybody's gotten swept up in this youth wave. And yeah, like, you know, there's so many great young players, but like it solidified how I want superstars to be in their 30s, because you just like get to a point where you live life enough and you know who you are to start to be a good personality in those situations. And for golf to thrive, it's an individual sport. For people to be like, I'm a big fan of someone, you need personality. And to me, like, we see this, Xander Schauffele is 31, and I think probably winning a couple of major championships allows him to be looser in these press conferences. He's not worried about saying the wrong thing, and that wrong thought is going to prohibit him from winning a major because he's going to think about it on Sunday. But, like, you want these guys to be at a point where they're really engaging, because that's what's going to make people be like, I'm a Xander Schauffele fan, or I'm a fan of Rory McIlroy. And I touched on this earlier, but like, I think Justin Thomas has been really interesting to listen to talk this year. And like what he did at the Valspar, getting up and talking about like how you know, and he's into his 30s. I wasn't the biggest fan of some of his, like, the way his personality interacted with press conferences like earlier in his career. And I just think like growth and these guys reaching their 30s is good for the game.
Yeah. No, I agree. So you need some Tom Kim global superstar, maybe another 10 years. We'll actually be into it. He's taking his lumps, and maybe he'll actually be able to, you know, you'll be more into it.
You think about Ludwig, like Ludwig is awesome to watch play golf, but like, you know, he's not going to offer you much in the press center, right?
Not No, not at this particular
Not
juncture.
at this point, but like, how many times has he been in front of a camera and a
Hovland's
microphone?
getting there. Hovland's there now.
Yeah.
He's all over the place. 8 Mile and Martians and all sorts of stuff like that.
But it's like a reminder, like you need these guys to be around for 10 years.
Yeah.
Because that's when fandom starts to set in. And Xander's getting to the point. I mean, I think like Xander hasn't finished outside the top 20 in his last 11 majors.
Yeah. The question from the chat: did the boys thank Marty Smith for his spirit? We did not, but
Haven't run into him
I
yet.
did see Marty Smith today in the media center. You know who was up there? PJ. It was Junior. Ken Griffey Jr. was in the media center. I think he's a photographer now. And you know the way Marty Smith went up to him, you would have thought Junior was protecting. Marty was batting fourth behind Junior, been protecting him for like 10 years in the bigs. Marty Smith went up for the big high five, big hug. So I did see that interaction, but I did not get a chance to thank him for his spirit. He was all into seeing Ken Griffey Jr.
Billy got a ton of questions about TGL. I was wondering
Really?
if Florida, Billy has like these press conferences we get printed out. They're like, we print them out, and Billy's was like 4 pages long, and all the questions are about the Gators and TGL. There's like 1 or 2 questions. He talked about tee shot on 2, and the rest was like Florida basketball and TGL.
Let's talk about the course as you're talking about the tee shot. You want to do Morikawa, Mr. Don't Follow Me Around?
Do you want to talk a little about more? What do you think? I thought Brandel had an interesting segment where he talked about Morikawa's like single shot shape. Brandel did this on Live From, and how it like there are just certain points at Augusta where it hurts him, like the 9th hole. How it's just really hard for him to hit the fairway, which I agree, that's a hard fairway to hit if you're just gonna hit the stock fade. But like his record here is really good, and he's played really well. And what I think like the one thing is like the results are really good, but has he like had a chance to win?
Really contended.
Yeah.
There was the one where he and Rory like bombed in the bunker and putt on 18, and like great tournament.
That was the 3rd.
Wasn't really contending, based on what Scotty was doing. I think the thing is, does he have the pop? I mean, obviously he's going to be a great iron player. I think
can he make the putts? That's my other.
Yeah,
thing,
yeah. I think it's been pretty established here that the strokes gained putting is among the share is among the least, right? That doesn't mean you can be a bad putter and win here. It's just in terms of the balance, his irons can carry the day, right? A little bit. I think like he can't hit it as far, right? As some of the top guys, and it's not the most important thing, but it's important at Augusta. So I think he's playing great. I would love to see him. Dark horse, 14-1 dark horse, Collin Morikawa.
I'm kidding,
hope there's
PJ.
God, don't look so disgusted.
I hope there's some
facetious.
journalist that just follows him around for the next 6 months and asks him to talk after every single round.
Collin, that was a talking point today, huh? There's a bunch of questions about like, should you have to ask questions or answer questions, or are golfers too sensitive? I don't know. I'm ready to move on from that, I guess.
Bryson says that he used to be too sensitive, but now all he cares about is inspiring the youth.
That's all he cares about.
I think he
inspiring.
used the word
in general.
inspiring like 6 times in his press conference.
It's almost like he was programmed.
Well, that's the thing with Bryson is like you see the moments of authenticity mixed in with like the moments of him in his media training that he's clearly undergone.
Yeah,
and it's just like it's like a song and dance,
Yep. Who's your top live boy coming in? Rahm, 14-1, says he doesn't know where he is in the world rankings. You got Bryson, you just talked about. You got Brooksy. You got Sergio. I like Sergio.
I kind of like Sergio.
It's a great pick.
The Fireballs get up is so ridiculous.
75-1 is Sergio.
He walked by me today, and I just was looking at the whole ensemble, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, makes an impression. Red and yellow, like fire engine red.
He was all black today.
Okay. I've ran into those guys. Man, just a treat to watch. It was Sergio, the amateur by a stair, Rahm, and Ollie. Ollie, just a lion. It's my favorite thing. to watch him. Rom talked about how Ali has
cut last year.
he made more FedEx Cup points based off that cut than a lot of guys who are still getting starts on tour. Rom talked about like Ali. We listened to him talk for 2.5 hours. He's got a story about every tree probably out here. They said they sit around and listen to him. I have many more thoughts on Ali. I'll share in a different pod. But I mean, he's dressed like, your dad. Like the pants are a little too big. The shirt's tucked in. It's not. He looks awesome. He just looks like he was 15. It was driver 3-wood to lay up to get. The driver cleared the crosswalk like in front of the tee. The one from 14 green by about like 30 yards. Not like it's just incredible. That's what you get at the Masters. But yes, the Fireballs outfit or the Fireballs bag was in that group, and Sergio's a good pick this year.
Would you take if you had to take two average finish between Rahm plus let's say Rahm, Cam Smith, and Sergio, or Bryson, Brooks, and Neiman?
Bryson, Brooks, and Neiman. Rahm Smith. I think the first one. I think I don't have a lot of confidence in Cam.
I'm just so curious about Cam.
Well, here's the thing. So
like what? This is a golf course that's so good for him, and it's just like it seemed like 2-3 years ago. It's like, oh, he might win one of these, and now it's like, I still like if he pops up on the leaderboard, I'll be like, okay, let's go. But like I just I do not have any confidence in that happening.
I think the LIV stuff continues to be a big mainstream story, right?
Did you see the ratings?
Well, yeah, we'll get to I'm saying the interest in the idea of LIV and the fracture continues to be a story, not the actual LIV golf. I did a radio thing at home for DC radio. That's the only radio I do. It's my guy in DC.
What's his name?
JP Finley.
All right.
Good guy. 106.7 The
Good
Fan.
guy Jerry Ward.
Yeah, great guy.
If he was ever on the grounds.
So I did it, and it's like a more general sports show. It's about the commies and everybody else. And like a lot of it was LIV. Like I think people still like if it's not Tiger, they want to like, what's going on? What's the deal with that whole fracture thing? Who are these guys? What's Phil? What's the deal? Like what are they up to? And so that's like not the actual golf, but the fracture still remains a big mainstream story because you then come to this where it's like 4 weeks a year and we're trying to suss out what is Cam Smith? What is Phil? What is like we know they're still guys. They won majors in each of the last 2 years. Brooks at Oak Hill, Bryson at Pinehurst, and then they took Rahm right after he won and Cam Smith, right? Like they have studs. Like they could show up this week and win. I'm not saying they don't have players. It's just I don't know how to assess them necessarily.
I was ranking I have this draft. I've talked about this numerous times on here. That it's tomorrow. I'm going to be without my phone basically all day, and I had to submit my my rankings, and I was going through it, and it's like there's so many LIV guys that are big time players. Like I have, I have Rahm, Bryson, Brooks, Neiman, Sergio, and Cam Smith all in my top 19.
Right?
Like that's almost like half the top 19.
Great players.
Like it's like a third of it. I mean, they're bona fide players. The problem that makes it so hard is that they have like 20 terrible players. They have like 20 legit bad players.
They play 54-hole events.
Yeah, and there's not that many
at
players.
golf courses we don't have any kind of context for them a lot of times.
Yeah,
and there's not.
And the
deep
bottom
fields.
of the field is bad.
So what? So should Rahm be with Rory and Scotty? I don't think so this particular year, but in general, yeah. It's just this whole the idea of the fracture. Playing with Freddie. Did you see the article in was it Global Golf Post? They're all like Brooks wants out, Bryson's uncertain. Now they're saying Rahm. This was a report. It's not my reporting. It was Global. Rahm is regretting it. We've heard that before. I don't know. Rahm seemed you know, it's like I don't know where I stand necessarily in OWGR. I pride myself on being a consistent player. So it's still a mainstream story, especially at the majors, and especially at the first one where like we haven't seen them play together, right? We haven't seen them for like 9 months essentially, right? Basically since the Open Championship. And so yeah, that's a big story for me is not the fracture. People love the drama, but like I want to see these guys. I think they probably could win a bunch of them, but I don't know where they're at.
Game within the game.
Yes.
Cam Smith or Jordan Spieth this week?
Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth, who did not talk to the press today. Former champion.
No, quite the sign.
Why didn't he talk? Why he didn't have a press conference nor a stand-up deal? Or was he? He might have been playing late. He might have got a late stand-up.
I think there
deal.
might be a general acknowledgement.
He was out late with Zach. Actually, I saw them playing.
You want to jump in here, PJ? Give your Zach
just a guy.
Spieth,
He's out
Spieth
late.
insight.
He was out late with Zach. I saw them both hit it well short, halfway up the hill on 10. But yeah, that's all I saw of Spieth today. No press.
I stumbled into them on 14
Okay.
purely on accident.
Okay.
There was a large crowd on 14,
Mhm.
and then I realized it was for Jordan Spieth.
Yeah.
14. They were.
Real quick, are we gonna get a encore performance from Zach after last year's Masters?
I think
Telling
Zach.
people to shut the F up. I think Zach is gonna mind his P's and Q's.
I think
he's gonna.
I
be-
think Zach may like loiter this week. He's been playing
Oh, get
semi
outta
well.
here.
I
Like, all right,
think Zach
fine.
makes the cut for gambling
hitting
podcast out there.
260 or whatever. All right.
So whatever, I pull up on 14 and they're there and they're just going back and forth making jokes, laughing at the bags about what club they're gonna hit. And I go, well, the last time these two had a club discussion on a tee box, it ended well for everybody. So
Marco Simone.
Marco Simone. I mean, come on. This ship was almost at the bottom of the ocean already. He just hit the accelerator. Come on, with the club joke. All right.
Yeah, that Marco Simone.
Spieth definitely game within the game against Cam Smith.
I'll take Cam.
All right.
I got
love
him.
it. That's a good impromptu pull. What other top storylines you want to talk? We talk about Scotty, Rory.
We got to bring
Liv
PJ
boys.
back in to talk about his first time.
His first. We'll get him
Pop-
coming here in a
popped his
minute.
cherry
We gotta do
today at
tee
Augusta
times. We got to do
National.
tee times. We got a lot of notes to get through. What about the golf course? We heard there were some trees. I don't know if you've heard. Rory, a favorite, big story. Also, some trees went down. They lost him in the hurricane. Substantively, what does it mean? Rory said there were. I think Rory said there were some tee shots that felt like maybe slightly a little less visually uncomfortable. A big one for me is 10. Rob said he had heard from someone, and he's like, I'm not going to say who, which makes me think it's like Bryson or somebody. I don't know. That you could now hit a cut down 10 up and over the cabins and back into the fairway, that there were that many trees lost. He was like, I don't believe that for a second. I'm going to get out there. He hadn't seen the course yet. I didn't see that. The left of 10 is certainly much more thin, but I don't think that is out there. Rory did say you can now see like a TV camera tower thing down there at the bottom of the hill. That would be your target. And now you can see it like really clearly all the way down there and just, work it off of that. So 10 has lost.
They got a target on 10. They lost some targets on 15.
15 for me is the one that I've loved seeing.
It looks so much better.
When you are coming down, and we're not inside the rows, but you're coming down the hill left or right of the on outside the fairway. And several people remarked about this week too. The left side of the green looks terrifying.
Just hanging.
It's
just
terrible. And then you
looming
go
out
up in
there.
the grandstand left of it, and you're like, oh, there's like, 25, 30 yards behind it before you get to the water. But you would think you're like looking at the 17th, that's like, a little island out there floating. So visually, with no depth, no trees there, it's cool. It's super cool.
It took away aiming points.
Yeah.
Like, I think those trees were just like really big aiming points for players. Draw it or fade it off this tree. And then the other thing is the visual just deception of it, the way it floats out there, even if there's space.
Yeah.
There's this thing. It just makes golf more complicated when you have to convince your eyes that's not scary. And subconsciously, that's where it's the hardest to tell yourself that.
Right.
Like you can know, but your subconscious could still feel uncomfortable about it because of what it's seeing, you know? And I think that's a neat one. I think like that hole looks so much better with that. I do think like it makes you like want more clearing in places. And I'm not saying like clear this place out.
Yeah.
But like the sight lines when you can see across the golf course more are like spectacular. They're extraordinary when you can see just like I think like the 5 to 6 that has helped is going to help patron flow, but B like it's like it's made it a little less claustrophobic up there on 6T.
Your beloved ornamentals, though,
Yeah.
are still gonna your beloved ornamentals. Still getting
That
those.
would be great if they got rid of
All right,
ornamentals.
never mind. Didn't want to get you all.
But I think
tilted.
like maybe the biggest one, the one that I'm most excited to watch, and I'm just curious, like, is this going to change stuff? We've heard, you know, one of the Augusta-isms is like, oh, the 12th is so hard to judge the wind down there. There are a lot of really big trees that came down behind the 12th and to the left of the 12th. I think some caddies might lose like their point of reference where they look to judge the wind. Like they have a tree they might look at that might be gone. But then the back half of that is I was talking to a former major champion today, and he hadn't been out there, but I was talking to him about what had happened. And he goes, you know, it's really interesting. So the way the wind works there is it comes rushing down 13. It like comes through that tunnel, and then it hits that wall of trees and almost like hits up, and that's how it plays into it. You know how it ends up playing into it. And he's like, so if there are way less trees there, maybe that effect of it like hitting the wall of trees and then reverberating back almost into player's face doesn't happen. So something to watch. Maybe we see more balls go back long into the azaleas just because they aren't used to that. They've lost their kind of like feel of what the wind does there.
So less of a hurt.
Yeah.
But the crazy dynamic you talked about, like coming down 13, up and then bouncing off.
Because there's way less trees up there.
Yeah.
Like
The
maybe
big
more
trees,
of more of the wind goes through the
Yeah.
trees because it's not as as many.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I think you're going to hear a lot about it. Maybe too much in terms of like the massive impacts. It's still, still Augusta National. I don't know. We've covered this course so much. It's like talking about Rory at Augusta National. It's still It's still incredible. It's so good. Would you want us to do the same bit on 3 or 15 or 13? Like it's incredible. It seems like it's probably going to be pretty firm. I think the players were. Like a few of them I talked to, like, were surprised it was this firm given all the rain.
The Tank talked about how firm it was.
Oh, he did? All right. It was, I wouldn't say it was, like, bouncy. Although, I think it was Rory said, like, he made the comment, like, it just shoots right through. Was it 15? The left side, like, it just, you just shoot through the green there. Because he was talking about a couple weeks ago when it was crazy firm or before the rain.
At the Jamboree.
So it's already, so it's already getting there even after all the rain on Monday. And they can obviously, I was surprised at how not like sloppy it was out there. The kitty litter was down for sure.
How about the no scent?
Yeah. They might
I think they've upgraded
R&D,
their kitty litter.
R&D.
The kitty litter has improved.
R&D on the kitty litter. It was not. For me, it did not seem that. Given all the rain that came from basically start of Sunday night into Monday night, it wasn't that mushy out there, and that's outside the ropes. Inside the ropes, it's already really dialed in again. Anything else on the golf course? I think those are some great things to watch for. 15 is super cool looking with no trees. 12, you're talking about the wind dynamic maybe.
And then I just think that it's great weather for a firm golf course.
Yeah,
like firm and fast. Like. It seems like it's going to stay pretty cool this week, and when you get those cool nights and not so hot days, you can get that golf course fiery. The humidity is what's going to really soften a golf course, and I don't think there's going to be a ton of humidity. You know, the weather forecast has changed a bunch, but yeah, I mean, like you're talking about 76 on Thursday, and then it cools back down. So should be awesome out there this week.
Yeah, should we get into some favorite tee times for Thursday? Or you got some other stuff you want to hit? Some other top storylines, or empty the notebook? Tee times. What do you want to go?
Let's get into tee times.
We can look there like you.
We can ramble through a bunch of stuff.
All right.
Should we start with favorites?
Sure. You did your tee times research. I haven't. I've looked at the sheet for a minute.
All right.
What are our favorite tee times?
I love this one out of the gate, and I know PJ will love it. Bernie Longer, Will Zalatoris, and Noah Kent. You know, we've thrived on the Mize Bryson game within the game for years.
Yeah.
I think Bernie versus Kent is a great matchup.
That's a good one. You know, I was talking.
Kent hits it like so far. He's gonna be one of the longest players in the field.
Big boy.
And Bernie's gonna might just zip him up.
Body bag. Oh,
just might zip him up and ship him off.
Unsubstantiated rumor, friend of a friend, Bernie, that if he makes the cut, maybe it's not his swan song. Maybe. Are we doing a Brett Favre situation where I retire, I unretire? Maybe. Could be the instance. So if he does zip up Noah Kent to the point where he makes the cut, could it be that we got the whole the farewell tour and then I'm back, the Lexi deal,
Ernest thing?
Yeah.
Bernie's playing 41, and I know Gary Player gets a lot of grief at this point, but him playing 52 Masters is insanity. Insanity.
It's a lot.
52.
Bernie's the last guy that I guess Ollie and Bernie are really like. We've lost a lot of like the old Lions hitting at 235 in the last few years between Woozy, Mize, Lyle. Like there's just not a lot of them anymore.
This is why we need a rollback more than anything else. A real rollback.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
Yeah.
Could buy us 5 more years of these guys.
Bernie is like kind of the last one. I guess Ollie too. What else you got for another favorite?
All right, I got Cam Smith, JT Poston, and Aaron Rye. Now, imagine 2 years ago telling yourself that's who Cam Smith would be paired with. I mean, this is insane. You know, after the Open at St. Andrews, it's like this guy might be the best player in the world. And now he's playing with JT Poston and Aaron Rye at the Masters.
He won the Open Championship at St. Andrews. Yeah,
yes!
That's correct. I believe he did that.
And he's also played extraordinary
it feels
at the Masters.
Disrespectful to Rye and Poston.
I don't think it is. I don't. It's... So, anyways, I found that.
That's a good one. All right. Bernie playing the up tees. We got a question from Jeff. No, he doesn't. This is not the PNC. Although we should think about that. They should think about letting him play the up tees.
Maybe him and Jason could play a shamble.
I mean, every par 4 is lumber. It's ridiculous. It's incredible for these guys, Ollie and Bernie. All right. What else you got?
I got Big Shot Bob, Billy Ho, and Nick Dunlap, and mostly it's just Billy Ho's pure electricity. And then I think Big Shot Bob is a legit dark horse here.
Totally. Absolutely.
I think he's second on tour or first on tour in approach from 150 to 200.
He's played well on approach. He's got a little pop. He got enough pop. The lefty thing, working it that way is always a trend or a storyline. But yes, he's a great dark horse pick.
And then the other element of it is, Nick Dunlap might hit it everywhere.
I think we saw firsthand evidence of the Nick Dunlap might hit it everywhere statement today. I believe PJ, our intrepid reporter, was on the ground and might have seen a Dunlap.
Intrepid, uncredentialed reporter.
16, he's played with Morikawa. 16, first shot.
Not trying to skip it.
Not trying to skip it. Like tee shot. Just cold shank. out to the right.
Cold. We've
Like-
seen that before.
like,
Wade Simpson's done
Totally all out towards like the scoreboard
that.
there.
15.
Is it similar to the one in the TGL?
Honestly, it's not dissimilar. Not dissimilar.
He was out there.
I'm worried about Dunlap.
I think Dunlap might have played like 45 holes today. He was out there all day. He was with Morikawa. He was by himself. I think Morikawa and him made the turn. He kept playing. I mean, if you're a young guy, though, Ballester did this. He played solo, then with the Spanish, the older guys. If you're a young guy and you're at Augusta, like, I'm just going to say, I don't think Dunlap or Ballester are going to win. Why don't you go play Augusta? Go play practice round. Like you could tell, I'm doing it. I'm going to play. It was great. So, yes, maybe not the one. In
I'll
between
tell you
Billy
what.
and Bobby.
Dunlap and Gordon Sargent might have gotten
Oh, God.
gotten the same
Oh,
bug.
God. Oh, boy. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide and Bandy.
They don't translate. They just what they burn out or what?
I don't
What do you
know.
mean?
I don't know
Just
what's
peak
going
too
on.
soon? Okay. What is another tee time you got?
I got Morikawa, who
Not
you know
just Sergeant's Vandy. What am
I might
talking
have to
about?
walk all 18, watch every shot, ask numerous questions after. Morikawa, Neiman, and Minwoo.
You're really leaning into this bit about following Morikawa. All right,
Got to be there all the time.
that's a good one. I mean, Neiman. Do you want to talk about him for 1 minute? Like,
Yes. I mean,
You've
like,
got to play well, man. You've bitched and moaned about getting invitations, being jammed, being an outcast, not like, and yet while you get invitations to the PGA, to the Masters, now to the results are great. You've done well in Australia, you've done well in worldwide events, so you've done well in live events, but like, you've done nothing ever at a major, and you're young. I'm not suggesting, you should have had 5 top 10s by now, but you've not had any, and sort of like the complaining and sort of this argument that he might be the best player in the world, like, okay, show it. We're here. I don't want to say there's a lot of pressure on him, but like, he's got to do something in a major, and that typically doesn't happen at the Masters, where it's just that's the first major you go ham at. Spieth did. It just doesn't happen.
I don't love Minwoo this week either. I know he's a trendy pick.
What was the Jay Day quote? He
There's
does the
Jason Day summed up Minwoo great. Like he said he does the sexy stuff great. He drives it far, chips it great. I think it putts it well, but I think then he got into needs to learn how to take speed off. And when you hear someone say needs to learn how to take speed off, that means doesn't have good distance control. That is what that means in layman's terms. Distance control is so important here. I'm gonna if he jams me, he jams me. If he calls
kitchen's
Chapinski,
closed. Can't cook.
yeah,
Not
if
allowed.
he calls Chapinski and he chips in, I don't see it right
All
now.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
How can you call Chapinski if you can't have a phone?
You can't have that.
Oh,
there
that's
you
a
go.
good. That's what PJ said. How can he call Chapinski if you can't have a phone out there?
There we go.
That's a good question.
There's the fly in the ointment. This week.
Next seat time.
Deep analysis.
I think this is a cheeky pairing from Augusta. We usually don't see cheeky. This is
Oh, you
usually
think they're
reserved for the
US
USGA. You ready for it?
Former USGA.
I think this is what might get you out there.
Okay.
Might get you out there. Phil Mickelson.
Oh, God.
Philip is playing with Jason Day and Keegan Bradley.
Interesting.
So
Captain
why
America.
it's cheeky is Phil was forever rumored to be the Ryder Cup captain of this Bethpage Ryder Cup. He was
Essentially written in pencil, right? Slotted
Yes.
in. Yep.
and he is paired with the Ryder Cup. This feels cheeky.
Yep. That's it's interesting. I mean, I watched Keegan for a bit today. Keegan played with Xander and Cantlay. I don't know if they're talking about Ryder Cup or what. Keegan's gonna. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. Zach's gonna be captain again. Is Webb? Who knows? Furyk was out there walking around as a fan today. Did you see Furyk? He's in his USA hat. Maybe he's ready to rock. He's to step in. But yes, that's a good one. Keegan. It feels like a guy that maybe should have a better record here, but playing with Phil could be a little bit of a circus first couple rounds. So, all right, what else you got for Phil?
I got the Just the Guys group: Jordan Spieth, Tom Kim, and Tyrrell Hatton.
Okay. All right. They're all just. I mean, Tyrrell's like a top 10 player in the world, bona fide. Spieth hates the golf course. Hates it every time. Every time he comes back.
PJ keeps saying I should be getting nervous. You want to come in here and tell him why?
It wouldn't be crazy to see Spieth shoot like 67, and then you're nervous. Now, can he follow it up and not shoot 75? It's another question.
I don't think he's gonna win, but I think he's playing well outside of here. He likes it here. I think you should prepare for a top 10. We make the turn on Saturday. He's 4 back. People get excited. I don't think he's gonna win, but I think he's gonna play well. I wouldn't be nervous, but I would have like a tingle. I would be a little scared.
I mean, I always have the tingle. You know, that's part of putting yourself out there.
Yeah, you planted a flag.
Yeah, you plant the flag.
Anybody who plays well at one major basically every year.
Yeah, you know.
Hard to do.
We're not playing at Bethpage. You know, I don't have nothing to worry about.
Spend a lot of time on Spieth this episode for being just a guy.
We didn't talk about him before.
All right. I'm just.
Well,
that's
that's the
on Michael's article on Masters.com.
Greller.
I haven't. Oh, see, that might be the biggest sign that he's just a guy.
Why?
This
Caddy's giving away the goods,
moving into media,
getting in the content game.
The caddy's moving into media appearances.
Fried Egg might have an article on Masters.com. Good little round table on the greens.
Oh.
Greller and us are colleagues now.
Supposed to also point out. I forgot about this. A little housekeeping.
What?
We have a pool for those that like to get into the mix of free pool.
Okay.
On a certain tournament this weekend.
Yeah.
And we're giving away a bunch of stuff.
A gift card.
Fun topics.
Yeah.
PJ was very involved with creating.
Will
the
and
topic.
PJ, yeah, did a great job.
There's a low old category.
All right.
There's all kind of big low Texan.
Where do we find
there.
the pool? It's in the newsletter. All right.
Big Texan.
In the show notes, in the newsletter, find
notes.
it. There's a lot of giveaways for winning it.
Find your locks, hammers, hammer it.
Hammer, lock it. What other tee times do we like? Are we off favorites to worst?
All right. We got 3 more.
Okay.
We got Sergio, Lucas Glover, and Daniel Berger, and that's my red ass group.
Wow. Yeah.
All of them can get going.
Yeah, they get hot. Berger doesn't suffer fools. He's gonna jam you.
Lucas Glover likes to play fast.
Yes. Oh God. He's playing well, obviously, and Sergio playing well as well. All right.
Glover,
the red ass group.
Glover, you got representatives from the 2 hottest teams in golf, the
Fireballs
and Atlanta Drive.
That's right.
So
that's a good group. I like that one.
Then we go. This is just if you want to just zig. You got a crazy run of groups at the back end of the tee sheet on Thursday. If you want to zig a little, you go Adam Scott, Xander Schauffele, and Victor. That could be a fun one.
Great group.
And that's right before you get Rory, Ludwig, and Akshay.
Big spot for Akshay with Rory and Ludwig. Ludwig, a top player in the world. Their pick. Ludwig's not played well. I don't want to say I'm out on him. I'm just like, for him to pick to win. I think there's better options.
Masters love Akshay because of the DCP.
Yeah.
He gets just
favorable treatment.
Yeah.
It's a drive, chip, and putt alumnus.
Well, he showed up at the DCP this year. I really like Akshay this week.
Yeah.
So that's one of the people I
good
like.
Group. Good group.
And then we got my last one. The last one I got singled out here. So right after that group, though, I'll just point out 3 groups in a row is Hideki, Bryson, Lowry. So really good. And then right after that is Wyndham, Rahm, and Fleetwood. But my last group of the day, Tank, Sam Burns, and Sahith. And my question, this feels kind of disrespectful to the Tank.
I don't disagree. Number 2 play in the world, as PJ says. I'm with you.
The Tank deserves to be bumped up a little.
Putting him out late afternoon, the heat of the afternoon. Tank starts rumbling up and down these hills under the heat.
Tank had an amazing quote about PGA Tour setups today.
He's on the back of the range in the background, just going at an ice cream sandwich while guys are warming up.
I put
Love
Tank's quote up on Twitter, and now I'm duking it out with a PGA Tour Live announcer.
About what? PGA Tour setups? Or
Yeah,
something?
PGA
All right.
Tour setups.
What did the Tank say?
The Tank said, "Yeah, anytime you can play here competitively, it helps, especially with strategy on this course. So many intricacies because the greens are so sloped that just angles matter a lot more here than at regular PGA Tour events, I would say." Just
Regular. Just regular.
driving by. Also,
Love that.
interesting angles. Angles matter here.
Love that. Love that. All right, so what's the worst tee time of the day? This is the annual tradition.
Do you have your nomination?
I do.
What do you
I
got?
do. I'm not going to elaborate much. Group number 4 on Thursday. Going with the aforementioned Zach Johnson, Joe Highsmith, and Chris Kirk.
I had this one in
No
my
thanks.
crosshairs.
That's all I'll say. No thanks. What's yours?
Highsmith kept it
Fine
out.
people, I'm sure.
Highsmith kept it out for me because
Sure.
You're not gonna find a Sahith Theegala appreciator. I'm just gonna say this. I wrote an article about Sahith Theegala when he wasn't really contending at a major championship. That's how much I like Sahith Theegala.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
takes a lot from me.
Yeah.
Joe Highsmith might end up being the best Pepperdine player on tour.
Good question. But Sahith, he's big with the
doesn't have the
influencers. He's
influencers.
got the hipsters
That's
on
the
his
problem.
side. He's got all the tweeters and yep.
Highsmith's a
TikTokers.
lefty too.
Yeah, Highsmith just has a bucket hat. He doesn't have the influencers. I again, seems like a nice fella. Masters is hard to pick it truly totally flopper of a tee time because it's smaller, right?
Did you see the other thing to note? Who's leading us off in the Masters? General Patton. Mr. October himself.
Will they be saluting on the first tee when he steps to
honestly,
the tee?
that,
And everybody salutes.
that might be the worst. That might be the worst tee time.
Actually, yes. No, is that a 1-to-1? Is that fair?
Davis Riley's not going to give you
2.
anything.
No,
Yeah.
they only got 2 though. I think it needs to be a full 3-man boat.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
What about Cabrera, Adam Shank, and Laurie Cantor?
That's bad. That's terrible. Bad for a couple different reasons.
A lot of layers to bad.
Guy fresh out of prison. And then, Shank, we were like, wait, how or why is he here?
Everybody in the presser is like, how is Adam Shank here?
And what is it? Top
12.
Oh, so you got the top 12 last year exemption. Okay. Yep.
And he got in not because he won anything, but because he snuck into Eastlake the year before.
Okay.
So he's extended it out.
Oh no.
So he had like a
Get it where
crazy
you
run in
can.
the FedEx Cup playoffs to
Yep.
get into Eastlake, got him into the Masters, and then he finished his top 12 last year.
I love it.
Non-competitive top 12. Never once in the Masters were you thinking Adam Shank is going to win.
Love that.
Then I got a couple candidates here.
Yeah.
And you can't do this. You can't put it in here. Ollie Schneider, Ollie, Ollie,
The wild card for Liv.
Jose Maria, Thurston, and Brian Campbell. If you took Ollie out of that, that's a bad pairing.
Well, Ollie's in it. So yes, I think Thurston and Brian Campbell.
I mean,
not good.
Ollie and Brian Campbell are going to be hitting from the same places.
Kind of feels disrespectful to Ollie.
Oh God!
He feels like he should be a more prominent group.
Yeah,
He's a icon.
God, it'd be amazing if Ollie was with like Rory.
I mean, why are they? I don't know. Thirsty?
Important data from first day in the range of the range data being around.
Oh, this is a big deal.
Important data that astute Twitter follower, I don't have it up, pointed out. We had a question of Bernie versus Brian Campbell for driving distance this week.
Yeah.
Both topped out at 289 on the range.
That's a good poke for Bernie. Good job. Wait, Campbell topped out?
Topped out.
Like didn't average? Topped out.
Topped out at 289.
Wow.
Other little tidbit from the range. This was a big battle all day.
Yeah.
Who's
grinding?
Who would hit more balls on the range? And it was a back and forth.
Yep.
Because both guys went back for more. Went back 2 range sessions.
Yep.
So I got to find this here in my notes. But Bryson hit 226 range balls today. Only one player hit more range balls today than Bryson DeChambeau.
Who was it?
Max Homa, 242.
Yeah. He's searching a little bit, it seems,
Searching.
right?
Joe Griner's on JT's back.
Is that confirmed? I'm not. It's a rumor at this point of our recording, but yes, Griner. Homa said essentially gives Griner's call a split. He's like,
Yeah.
I don't want this ever to come in the way of our friendship. It feels like it could. We're out. Let's just take a pause or break up. And so that's what happened. It wasn't Max, quote unquote, firing Joe Griner, and that was the origin of the split. But JT's caddy has like a bad back or back issue. Matt Minister, I believe, or Minister's his name. And so you think that there's rumors.
Kind of love JT this week. You want to hear my theory?
Love JT this week. I'm all in.
Want my theory?
Approach play is dialed. What's your theory?
He's been playing great.
Mm-hmm.
My big theory, why I like him this particular year, he's not caught in the Tiger song and dance.
He's
of
my
I'm
best friend.
buds. Yeah. I got to do my practice routine around the way Tiger does it. He's doing his own thing. I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I think I'd be putting some shekels on JT.
Great pick. Love it. Love it. He's just kind of, I wouldn't say he's under the radar in any respect, but
He's under the radar.
yeah, there's a lot of like pressure on him or profile on him pretty much every Masters. And, he hasn't won. Like, let's like that's sort of a check in the negative column. Like, he has not got across the line, but playing really well. Love that he's somewhat under the radar, and has all the attributes, and obviously it suits him. This course suits him, and he's a great pick. I love him this week.
Yeah.
Is he demonstrably like a worse pick than Scotty or Rory? I don't think so. So yeah, that's a good one. I love Justin Thomas. What else we got?
Playing with Scotty Scheffler and Ballester.
It's a good group.
Yeah.
Good group.
That's a good group.
Defending champ always plays with the defending.
Oh, I
USA.
forgot. I would be remiss if I didn't forget my last contender for worst tee time of the day. And I think this is where I'm going to settle in.
Okay.
I hate to do this to our beautiful boy who seems to find himself in every crosshairs that he can get into. Austin Eckroat, Rafa Campos, and Cam Davis. I hate to do that to Cam Davis. As a genuine Cam Davis appreciator.
PJ, were you the one that saw Campos and Hideki, or was somebody else? Oh, I think it's my parents. They saw Campos and Hideki and said the two were chatty Cathys. They played together, and they were just jibber-jabbering up and down the fairway the whole day. Campos and Hideki. You'd think there's like multiple language barriers there, but apparently they were chatting up all day.
Yeah, Campos would be a. He's a.
Oh, now we're getting into
Puerto Rico.
geopolitical. Who knows how that breaks?
Would Puerto Rico fall into American?
Well, the good news is he can't break 80 lately, so it's probably not going to be a thing. But maybe, who knows? Medina in a year, maybe, or for either side. Maybe he plays for either side.
I'll get some. I'm gonna follow up on that. I'm
All
gonna do
right.
some journalism.
Where does Campos fall in the
Yeah, there's a
peacock?
lot of PGA Tour people floating around here. One of the things about this week usually is you only get a couple representatives. Today I was like, what's going on?
Why are there so many?
Yeah, I thought I had to start looking over
Big
my
J,
shoulder.
saw Big J under the tree. He's here.
Big J?
Yeah, he was milling about. Didn't see Yasser, if you can believe it, but I did see Big J.
One quick thing I wanted to tie up here.
Yeah.
I particularly liked a Shane Lowry quote about playing at Augusta National that I'd never thought of it this way, but he said, I think there's quite a few. There's a few key holes out here. Obviously, the tough par 4s and the par 5s. If you play 1, 5, 11, and 12, if you play those holes well and play the par 4, par 5s well, you're going to have a chance to win the Masters. That's how I feel about the golf course. I'd never thought about that. I wonder, I was surprised he didn't have 7 in that, but I never thought about, like, the idea of, like, if I take care of those 4 holes for the week, and then I play the 4 par 5s well, like, if you think about it that way, like, yeah, like, you know, there's a lot of holes in there, like, you know, 14, I love 14, but like, you're not going to, like, make a mess of that regularly if you're playing pretty well.
Say those holes again. I was distracted. What
1,
were the 4? Yep.
5, 11, and 12. If you play those holes well.
Okay.
Which, those are hard holes. So I'm guessing, like, right around even.
Yeah.
Like, if you can play those holes around even, and then you play the 4 par 5s well, you're going to have a chance to win the Masters. Like, simple as that.
Interesting breakdown. Yeah.
I'd never heard that. I thought it was just, you know, like, I don't know if there's credence or if there's, you know, I'm sure, like, somebody could dive in and figure out the stats around that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's a good one. I like that quote. Different. There's different approaches, right? Every guy, like, he honestly could have just said that. He was just flowing and said it off the cuff and never thought about it before. But also that could have been a strategy, and that's what you get about with Augusta. It's guys with varying approaches to what they think works for them, right? Yeah. Where to pounce and where to hold on. What's breaking?
Bryson's still on the range.
Bryson's still on the range.
He's gonna.
He takes his person.
Can you get a ball count?
LKD, Luke Curtinine, didn't he ask him? Did he chum the waters? Are you going to win the ball count on balls hit?
No.
Oh,
so
okay.
LKD you know, he didn't know that we were monitoring the situation.
All right.
I was sitting next
Who
to him
would?
during Bryson's press conference. He asked a question. He goes, you know, I see you hit more balls than anybody on the range, and Bryson took that as a badge of honor. You know, that was something that made Bryson happy.
I see 240 shots on the range right now. Homa 247 on the, I don't know if I'm updated, so Homa's still clear. Bryson's just going to be there wailing away. Running up the data.
This is a developing story, but LKD says, like, you know, you've hit the most balls of anybody on the range, and Bryson got pretty excited about that stat.
Of course he would. That's right in his wheelhouse. He's probably more excited about that than, like, shooting it opening round 66.
I should have raised my hand and been like, I just wanted to correct that Max Homa's hit more than Bryson. That would have been good. But after that, I told LKD, and, you know, then after that, he's just letting me know everything. You know, I will give LKD. Luke Curtinine from Golf Digest a shout out. He has done some awesome work. Like, he's done awesome work leading into this.
We love LK.
And he was telling me what he was working on for something centric around the range access to the data.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting angle. I'm excited to read it. It's
Commendation corner here. Yeah. LKD. All right. Love that. You know, like 247 shots, you're pushing like the amount you'd shoot in a 4-round tournament. You're not there, but you're close. I mean, in a day.
Full shots, you're not going to hit 240.
Right. Yeah,
you're hitting 30 putts a day.
For sure, full shots.
You know, you think about 270 shots or whatever, 270.
Good Lord.
You know, usually 270, like, you've got 120 putts.
Do we know who took the fewest? I love Pavon. It's at 34.
Oh, God, Pavon.
Rise 28.
Pavon on Monday was out there. He's one of the few players out there
in the rain.
Yeah. It was incredible. I just was walking around. I was looking at the course, looking at the trees, and he's walking from 14 green. He gets to 15 tee, tees this ball up. He hits the shot within 15 seconds. It was incredible.
Awesome.
It was great. I just was like, I stood there. I was like, I don't know if I want to wait to watch him hit it. Like, you know, I was like walking. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to wait. I was like, I'll wait, because I was like right behind the tee. I was looking at the tee shot.
Yep.
And he just, like, it was so fast.
Anything else we want? We have a ton of notes. What do you got, PJ? 14 shots for Ballester. Well, then he went and played, like, you know, 75 holes, it felt like, out there. So good for Ballester. Short range, lot of time on the course. That's the way to do it in our eyes, our hacker eyes. We got a lot of notes. Some of them more suitable for probably a Thursday show, like biohazard reports. Wednesday show. PJ, do you have any notes that we need to get out for the gambling pod? We're going to make our picks here. We're going to do that in a second.
And
but
give us a little first-time perspective.
Any kind of intel that you also want to get out there that we shouldn't say for Thursday?
I mean, it was like one of the best days of my life. It was incredible. It was really.
Good job.
Yeah,
Glad
it
to
was
hear
great.
that.
Thanks,
PJ.
thanks for having me. It was really.
Thank the Green Jackets. So we didn't do anything.
The
They
guy
had
the
ya.
guy that
They got their hooks into you now.
the person that brought I ran into the person that shuttled PJ over there.
Good.
And
Okay.
he said, it'd been a long time since I brought somebody in for the first time, and I kind of forgot how awesome it is to see somebody
I love
just
that.
like light up when
Love
they go
that.
into Augusta
Love that.
National for the first time.
It's cool.
I'm glad I could provide that. Notes that I had. Luke Clanton just kind of loitering as part of seemingly a Nike activation. Was out with Michelle Wee watching Brooks around Amen Corner. Some fan asked Luke why he wasn't in the field this week, and Luke just kind of laughed it off. But Luke
Didn't
Clanton
qualify.
scouting trip potentially for
Okay.
next year.
Do you think the TGL teams are courting him, and that's why he's here?
How could you not?
Who
I
could you
mean,
not? Yep.
I saw 2 Atlanta Drive Champions hats today.
I saw the guy in Atlanta drive a sweatshirt. It's out there. Championship season. We're celebrating.
Billy's getting rings all over. It's Billy do.
Yeah.
Everybody around Billy gets a ring. Everything coming up Billy. Collin
else you got?
Morikawa's caddy almost skipped it in on 16 after making a
I
hole in
heard
one on
about that.
17 at
Yeah.
Sawgrass.
Yeah.
That was a big reaction.
What was your big takeaway?
I did not see Tyrrell Hatton get visibly unhappy once. I walked probably 6 holes with him.
That's the big picture.
I don't know. It was
Did
a
you
free,
like the golf course?
It was a
Did you
free
enjoy your
space.
time?
Golf course, the place, the whole event.
What'd you think of the merch center?
Merch Center was a lot. There was a lot going on there. Disney World, it was great. I mean, shuttled you in and out. There were so many like different queues.
How long do you have to wait?
Till I got inside, probably like 20 minutes. It wasn't bad. I was in and out of there in 40. I got in line and I was out in 40.
I heard
Shipped it. Didn't even think about it. Yeah.
not an ad, but just friends.
Not an
just
ad.
friends.
Just friends.
I heard 80 minutes at the start. I heard 2 hours to get in. I mean, if that's how you want to spend your
golf
time.
course was amazing. I said that you might not like my favorite hole. Do you have a guess?
7.
That would be my guess.
Loved 4.
Oh, 4's cool.
I
4's
don't-
great hole.
I don't know.
Fine.
I stood on every tee
too
box
hard.
today,
It's not.
and 4 was like the one where I visibly was like, "Damn, I want to hit the shot right now."
It's not. I
4
wouldn't say
got
it's
me.
the shining star of the course,
No,
but it's
four
fine.
4 got me good.
Why
Uh,
don't you like it, Andy? A bad nomination.
I
the
just
green
know
is.
what it looks like,
the-
what it once looked like, and I think
Like-
it's close by neighbor. I might take 6, similar feel, look, and then you got the crazy green. But that's me.
Green on 6 is crazy.
The
That
OG
was
4
nuts.
green is wild that we shared the pictures of on our Twitter feed, Friday Golf. The little finger coming out the front that's been it's gotten fat and big and different. So
Yeah, I was thinking about some of that this year, or walking around the other day, about how like 17 kind of still has a little bit of a finger in
Yeah.
the front.
Yeah.
And you just gotta keep pushing those out.
yeah,
You
yeah.
get some of those back. But four's green sneaky. There's like this like little ridge in it that you can't really see, and it's gnarly. Like it's not little. Like on any other golf course, it would look really big, but just because of how big everything else is, it looks really small. It is a cool hole.
Yeah.
I was just amazed at how big like the mounds are near the greens.
Various greens.
Like 8
Yeah,
especially.
sure.
Like those are huge. Down by 11, like I was on the
those are-
side.
Those are maybe not the most natural.
I know that, but Shane
Yeah.
Lowry Shane Lowry, big dude, just like disappeared.
Yeah,
behind it.
those
I
are
was
those are
like,
big.
oh,
Those are big
that's pretty
mounts.
legit.
Yep.
Cameron and I saw Michael Kim putting from like kind of the relief or bailout area on 11, putting up that little hill, which he was the only guy. I was there for a while. He was the only guy I saw
Tricky
putting.
play. It's a tricky play.
What all did you eat? Did you try everything?
I tried a lot. The peach ice cream sandwich was gas. That was big.
Does that mean good?
That was major. That's 1-1. Had chicken salad. Had the pulled pork. I'm not generally a pulled pork guy, but it was very good. The lemonade was great. I had a great day. I had a great day. I mean, it's just all I could say. Like you said, it was it was cool just to see. Like, I literally thought as I was going to meet Andy to leave, I had the thought watching all these people take their pictures by the scoreboard off of one there, that like everybody here is like having the best day of their life. It really was like amazing.
It's great.
Yeah.
And that in turn puts you in like I was so stressed today, like just work. It's stress. This is a big day for us, big tournament. And I just was like taking happy
I
people
took a second to like stand there and just like acknowledge that literally everybody around me was having the best day of their life, which was really, it was great.
super cool. And the first timers, you can kind of almost tell too, like the glow, the extra glow. And even if they've done everything in their lives first, they still like a glow. So should we make some picks? Well, we got our gambling expert here. We got the notebook is full.
I know. I feel I got so many notes in here.
We got biohazard stories. We got Eisenhower Cabin. I've got some good ones on some of the younger players in the field, sort of lost. It's got a lot of notes.
I'll say this. This is a quick story. You know, everybody always asks me, what do you talk about under that tree? You know?
Yeah.
People want to know what's going on under the tree.
Scuttlebutt.
Today I had an earnest conversation about Freddy's. The custard chain.
That's sponsoring.
The
Sponsoring,
range
yeah.
Had an earnest discussion about Freddy's custard under the tree.
Burgers and custard.
Burgers and custard under the tree. There was a real discussion about where, one person goes, Freddy's is really good. That's a good partner they got there.
Well, good for them. They're on for 1 year.
Picture. They look thrilled in that picture. Uline was holding up his custard. He was
A
jacked
couple
up.
of them look like they've been indulging quite a bit at Freddy's, if I'm being honest. But yeah, all right, I love that. We'll put these notes, to be clear, are evergreen mostly. They're inanities.
Well, we got
amusements.
PJ. Can I break some troubling news?
No. I see where you're going in the notebook right now.
It's out there.
Some
see where you're going.
troubling news.
This is not part of the Masters preview, but it must be launched, then it must be launched. All right, what do you need to say?
Dick Bland will not defend his U.S. Senior Open championship because he has a conflict with LIV. He will not defend. This is bad news for the senior tour.
So here's the 3 follow-up questions I immediately had when you told me this. 1, will he still be at Oakmont? I hope so. I assume so. There's no LIV. Obviously, there's no LIV conflict that week.
Yeah.
So I expect him at Oakmont.
Okay.
2, will he be at the senior PGA down the road from you?
Oh, it's literally a bike ride from me. Yeah.
So are you getting some Dickie B?
I would love that. I'm gonna go. If I'm gonna go to Congressional, if it doesn't conflict with my schedule, which could be.
So that immediately popped in my head.
Yep.
And then 3, does that open him up to potentially get into the Senior Open Championship to keep the 2 alive? Because he did not play in the Senior Open last year.
Fair question. Where is that this year? Who knows? Sunningdale or something.
Yeah, I think it is Sunningdale.
Really?
Actually.
I just pulled that out.
I think it is.
Really?
Gotta go. He's English.
Yeah. All right. So we got the Senior Open Rhoda in the Masters preview. I'm happy about that. Or the Senior Major Rhoda. All right. He's not going to be able to defend.
It's important.
Seems like LIV should give him a release. Cleeks bring
That's what we said last year.
Well,
He was going for the Bland Slam.
the person that broke this news to me said, you'd think LIV would want that logo, that Cleeks logo on NBC. And I said, listen, the Cleeks are in it for a championship. They're playing for a championship.
Bigger ratings, Senior Major or LIV?
Well, now he's not going to get into the Shinnecock either. That's heartbreaking for me, especially. Imagine
LIV
Brandy
ratings.
coming to my part of town.
LIV ratings not good.
No.
For being set up for favorable Florida Fox Network TV. They did a third
Big
of
Fox.
a down
Big
San
Fox.
Antonio. Like a down San Antonio. It was down, and it was like a third or a fourth of that rating. So not great.
That was humorous. I was having a conversation. I
400-some thousand.
was under the tree there with someone associated with the PGA Tour in that moment, and they said, "You know what's funny about that? That San Antonio leaderboard was downright awful."
It was, yeah, it was kind of a snoozer, and did 3 or 4 times. LIV Doral, Miami, Big Fox Network, and they're getting under 500. That's
Well,
not good.
It was, the whole premise was People are gonna see how bad this leaderboard is. Flip over to
Yeah.
Fox, and
Phil
then
was
they
there.
see like Koepka, Bryson, and nobody did that.
Didn't happen. It's a problem. Who's
Well,
our
just
pick?
just wait. 10 million people watched it worldwide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia numbers
There
were
were-
through the roof. So
there were
4 million people watched it in Saudi
In
Arabia.
Riyadh and Jeddah, there were over 400 million maybe. All right, let's do picks. Picks for the 2025 Masters tournament. We've talked about Rory and Scotty, the favorites, Collin, JT, Bobby, Max, Sergio, some trends. Like, look, it's been a while since we had a true like random that there's kind of a guardrails up with the Masters on that one. You know, Charles Schwartzel might have been that, but he was a class player back then. It's just been a while. Who do we like this week? PJ?
I'm taking Scotty. Just
Okay.
not getting talked off it.
Okay.
I feel like I've talked myself out of it for like 3 straight years.
Okay.
I'm not doing it.
This is
year.
a one and done pick.
One
This is
and
not
done.
like a 6-1 value or whatever
Yeah.
he's at. It's one and done pick. Okay. Who do you like?
Also taking Scotty and one and done. I can't not.
All right.
It's right there for you.
All right. I'm going with it. I'm taking Rory McIlroy to win and complete the career slam. I'm doing it again.
Yahtzee!
I just like
Cash
you know
your
what?
tickets.
I just can you not? I like the vibes. I'm doing yeah. I think. Look, I find it tedious myself. It's not because
It's
I don't
gonna
like
feel
Rory or
so
the
good
Masters.
it's gonna feel so good when it happens.
Right. We'll
You
just our gambling pod bona fides will just be paraded around. That will be the primary story come Monday if Rory wins.
I don't know if Scotty's gonna win.
Yeah.
But one and done.
All right.
I don't know how you don't take it.
All right. That does it for our preview show, but we're going to have dailies right after play or about right after play on Thursday.
If you want more
Friday,
gambling insight,
Saturday,
too.
and then Sunday, daily podcast coming on the Shotgun Start feed.
And they'll all be live.
Yes.
Check out YouTube.
YouTube. We're going to have that humming.
The lives on Thursday and Friday will be basically right after play.
PJ doesn't have a chair, so if you want to watch PJ kind of sit in a catcher's crouch as he jumps in the mic, you go to live. You go to YouTube, and we'll have it up and running. Maybe a sneaky Wednesday episode, not in the works right now, but live after play on YouTube, and then on the podcast feed.
And then check out the website. We
Yeah.
got lots of articles up there if you
Great
want
content.
gambling content, course content.
We've got a profile of all 95 players, mini profile. We have a course profile, in-depth course profile from Andy. We got the Pat Reed interview. We've got newsletter humming. Like, I don't know. I'm obviously biased, but I'm very proud of our content team. We're cranking it out in multiple formats.
Sign up for the
Written.
newsletter.
Cameron, our guy, is on the ground. He's just shooting the hell out of Augusta
Who
National. with
knows
his
what he did all day? We
he's
don't see him all day.
Just kind of, he was just
Just
eating tomato pies in
yeah.
every corner of the
comes
course.
back and posts like 5 photos since it's also today.
No, he's the hardest working
See,
person here.
like,
he's
you're
not
getting
salt,
a glare now. That
salt
was a
dog
joke.
over
That
there.
was a
He's the
joke.
hardest worker here.
Complete joke.
He takes great photos. So yeah, we're humming. The content's rolling. Support the pod, the newsletter, wherever you can. And thanks to Draddy for getting us here and with the Draddy house.
Maybe we'll have Cameron Minute one night.
He would rather soon throw himself off the front porch, I think, than come on the podcast. That's how he rolls. All right, we'll talk to you maybe after Thursday's round. We'll talk to you then. Definitely after Thursday's round. Maybe before, but definitely then. Talk to you guys.